Today is Saturday, October 12th, 2019. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Island of the Idols Week 3.
That's right. This is where we bring the other Survivor fans in on the fun and give them an opportunity to share their observations and predictions with regards to what's going on in the show each week. How many folks do we have join us this week?
27.
Continues to be a pretty big turnout. People are excited to talk about this season. Anything we need to cover before we jump in?
Let's just see what Pete has to say.
All right.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow. 3 blindsides in a row. So I gotta let out a great big woo! Bam, baby. Oh, Vince. And it pains me to do this, but I'm going to have to sing. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Hey. Goodbye. Oh, my goodness, Vince. What on earth were you thinking about? Bangor space or something? My goodness. How do you not see that coming with an idol in your pocket? You were blinded and manipulated and played by the strong female alliance. No doubt about it. And even some of those guys who were willing to work with you, too, in the beginning. But wow. I cannot believe Vince went out with the idol in his pocket. And he looked so great the whole game, including at Island of Idols, taking the challenge from Boston Rob and Sandra, somehow sneaking in the camp. I really thought he was going to be seen by, it looked like Kelly or someone on that purple team there. But he grabbed some ashes because the fire was all burned and brought it back, and he had the idol all for nothing. That is a cardinal sin, Vin. Wow. But I got to give credit to Missy and Elizabeth and Chelsea and even some of those guys there for making the blind side happen. I was sweating for Tom. I so love Tom, even though he's not doing much. And I know he's the older guy, but he's a likable guy. I'm glad he didn't get blindsided. I so wished it was that crazy crier, I'm going to say crybaby, Karishma. Man, that girl cannot figure out puzzles. By far, she's the weakest link in challenges. Now, I'm not saying Krystle Cock, but I'm hoping she ends up on an Island of Idols soon, and Sandra talks to her, because, man, she's not far behind Sandra in terms of being weak in challenges. Wow. I mean, that girl has never seen the show, in my opinion. Talking about Karishma there. I think Joanne and Stacey, is she a recruit? I'll have to look it up. And then the other team, too bad they didn't lose, because I was going to see if Jamal was going to get blindsided based on what Tommy was saying, or if Dan was going to get blindsided by Jamal, or was it going to be the obvious vote with Nora. I was so hoping the other team lost. Maybe they'll lose next week in the blindfold challenge. That's always some good comic relief. But wow, this is an awesome episode, and I'm sad Vince left, but I can't believe he made that mistake going home with the idol in his pocket. He had no sense whatsoever, and Dean, I think, dodged a bullet. He's out of his purple shadow until he says, let's split the votes in front of the entire tribe. Oh, Dean, but I love this season, guys. Take care. Ooh.
All right. Glad you're still enjoying it there, Pete. Yeah. Oh, Dean. What more do we need to say, huh? Good deal. Next up, we got an email from Elizabeth in Charlottesville, Virginia. Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I'm a new Survivor fan. I started watching Survivor 2 years ago. I found this podcast a year ago, and I figured it was about time I added my voice to the show. Well, welcome, Elizabeth. Good deal. So here goes. In Jeff Probst's words, you may suck at puzzles, but you're really good at blindsides. This is 3 blindsides in a row. I find it so funny that the Girls Alliance was going to do their own thing and vote out Tom, but in the end they caved and went with the easy vote. I was sad to see Vince go because he had just won the Idol and I thought that he was going to make it really far. I thought everything was going great when he sided with the girls behind the guy's back. I guess that just goes to show how quickly things can change in Survivor. Now, I must take a moment to acknowledge Karishma. I felt bad for her when she cut herself, but I was annoyed at her need to be babied. She was the one who separated herself from the group, and you can't expect your tribe mates to come over and baby you when you've separated yourself from the group. I did not like how she handled the situation. She claimed that everyone in her tribe was now dead to her because in her mind they didn't come and help, and that clearly nobody cared about her at all. Her dismal attitude about her situation in the tribe almost got her booted, and I was almost ready to see her go just for being so unwilling to accept that people would vote with her. Does anybody else think that Karishma secretly wants to go home? That's a good question. There may be something to that. Yeah. She keeps talking about how she doesn't fit in and how different she is and how she's too old to be there. Just a thought. Well, that about sums it up. Thanks for such a great podcast. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thanks, Elizabeth. You did great there with your first feedback. Next up, we got a call from Christiana.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Christiana from Boston. Another great episode of the season so far, and I even got my first vote-off point of the year, so that was awesome. I was bummed that we didn't get to see Lyra's reaction to Molly being voted out. I feel like they would have been really shocked because it was probably clear that she was kind of like queen of that castle for the first few days on the island. I also love Janet. I know everyone is saying that, but she absolutely killed it in the challenge, kept up with a gold medal swimmer, which is really impressive. And I like that she's a thought partner to her tribe mates and that a lot of the communication is going through her. So I'm excited to see kind of how the season plays out with her and if there's a swap or if she makes it to the merge, how she plays with different castaways. I thought it was interesting that everyone wanted to blame Karishma for the puzzle complete failure, but I really don't think Dean did anything. I know it was funny, Missy was yelling at her about like match the colors and she just like wasn't doing that, but I didn't see Dean put in a single piece. I don't know if he did the one, I know you all talked about that in the weekly recap, but yeah, I think they blamed her because it was convenient to blame her, not necessarily because she was the sole person responsible for the puzzle implosion. And I was thinking about this whole Island of the Idols concept and people lying about it, and I just feel like there's a complete fallacy with the whole thing because the concept of lying about the Island of the Idols and what it entails doesn't make sense since in 6 more days someone else from your tribe will go and they'll know that you lied. But also if they told the truth, if Kelly and Elizabeth respectively told the truth to their tribes that Rob and Sandra were on an island there, then it would completely take away all the production value when a new person comes and realizes what they're doing and what the Island of the Idol entails. So just all in all, like I said last week, this twist doesn't bother me. I think it's fine. I don't think it's taking away anything. I don't think it's like adding anything really either other than a lot of advantages into the game. But I think it wasn't really thought through well, it seems like. So we'll see how that plays out as more and more people go and realize what's going on. I'm excited to hear what everyone else has to say, and I hope you all have a great week. Bye.
Fantastic. Good job, Christiana. Next up, we got an email from Mary in Michigan.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's been so long since I've been in touch. I've been super busy with work this season so far and missed the deadline the first 2 weeks. I've vowed to get my 2 cents in this week.
All right.
This is my first time ever with JSFL, and I am firmly in the middle of the pack. First of all, my vote off was Vince, and then I changed it to Nora. Ugh. I'd been down on Vince since day one, but I let others sway me. I need to go with my gut, as Boston Rob and Sandra have told us.
Or keep cool under pressure. You choose.
Glad to see my USB Jack take the Molly blindside well. He's still looking okay for now. Jamal, not so much. Maybe a hot take, but no one else is really jumping out at me. Tommy seems too obvious, and I can't stop getting a Tyler Fredrickson vibe from him. Chelsea just isn't giving me the right vibes either. I think if I had to go with the new USB right now, I'd go with Kelly. I like Missy, but not sure the last episode gave me winner feelings about her. I think our ultimate winner is on the Purple Tribe. I'm hoping Jack. and I'm hoping the swap is good to him. That being said, I totally am prepared to need to pick someone else down the road. Other than that, my prediction is Karishma goes next, and my eye is on Dean to see his story arc. I also gotta admit, I'm still an Aaron fan. He and Jack were my faves in the preseason based on interviews. I'm waiting to meet that guy on the episodes. I also have to say, as a huge Boston Rob and Sandra fan, I like the twist, but it needs to make a little more sense. The sneaking into camp was nonsense, and I really wish Vince had been caught. Now that would have been fun. I'm looking forward to next week and hearing all the fan feedback. I'll be more focused on the current episode next time, I promise. Thanks as always. All right, and thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Welcome to JSFL.
Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hey guys, this is Rebecca, and though I've been listening to your podcast for years, this is the first year that I'm playing JSFL. This is the very first time I'm calling with feedback, and I gotta say, it is so much more fun watching the show, listening to the podcast, and being involved with all the extracurriculars. This episode was really strange. It was kind of like all about attitude. Jamal had an attitude. Karishma had like a really sad, sacky attitude the whole time, even though it seems like she has a really strong alliance and everyone's on her side. She just kind of kept thinking everybody was against her. I expected her to go home. I actually had her as my vote out, and that's why I really wanted Vince to play his idol, who also totally had the wrong attitude. He just seemed to take the advice from Island of the Idols to just be complacent. I was just watching him going, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, I want her to be voted out. I want a point. But that didn't happen. Oh, and Dean's big oops of, we'll just split the vote, and he said it in front of everyone. I feel like he's kind of going to be on the chopping block now, because that was a bit of a misstep. He's the one whose name I always forget. I'm like, oh yeah, and that guy. But I'm loving the show. I love the concept, love the podcast, and thanks you guys for all that you do. Bye.
We loved your feedback. Good job, Rebecca.
And welcome to JSFL to you, too.
Yeah. Yeah, poor Purple Dean. Well, I guess he's not purple anymore, but it does seem like he might have a complete story arc now. We know everything we need to know, and that's what he has to offer.
Okay.
Next up, we got a call from Slappy.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. I just want to quickly call in and say hello and thanks for the podcast. And, oh, my goodness, this season hasn't quite won me over yet, but they're getting there. It's starting to get there. I still don't like the Rob and Sandra aspect of it. So they spin with that the better, but I don't feel like that's the way they're going to go. I feel like they're going to get more heavy with it. But I was also disappointed that we didn't get more from Vince's return when he talked to Elizabeth. And that whole thing, I wish that they would have shown, how they worked that out, because she had lied about everything. I was also disappointed in Vince for not playing that idol. I mean, saving it for the next time was just, I don't know. It was an amateur move, and I thought he was going to go far, but turns out he was not going to go far. I got 4 points, and I had Christian to go, and she was almost went. I mean, it was a good play on the part of the tribe there to get rid of Vince, I guess. The girls are strong, and that's cool to see, but I was like, I was so looking forward to getting that point so I could get ahead of you, Stacey. I'm coming for you. I also was a little disappointed because Christmas' attitude and behavior was really poor, and she got rewarded for it by staying. Like last week when Nora's was so poor, and she got rewarded by staying. I don't like that. I guess they're keeping her around to keep a bigger target out there or something. Maybe it's their strategy. Maybe it's nothing at all. But there you go. I do like the cast of characters. That's a little bit better for me. I just wish that there was less Sandra and Rob. They've had their time in the sun. I think it's time to move on. But that's just me. All right. Thanks for the podcast, you guys. Keep up the good work. And Slappy.
All right. Thanks, Slappy. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Nathan in Portsmouth, Virginia. Hello, Survivor fans. When I was watching this week's episode, I thought I'd try to see if I could determine who I thought was going to make the merge, go far into the game, or perhaps become the sole survivor. When the episode ended, I said, oh, whatever, I give up. At first, I thought that Karishma might be someone that could go a long way because she seemed to be strategizing, looking for a path forward. Later, though, she couldn't give a name of one other person she thought should be targeted in the vote. Then at Tribal Council, she played the outcast card. It's way too early to play the outcast card, even if that's how you feel. So I went from feeling that she might be a strong contender to thinking she's someone who won't make it to the end. She might make the merge, but I wouldn't bet on her winning the game. I also thought Vince might be playing a smart game since he agreed with everything the guys were saying to him, but later admitted that he was still going to stick with the female alliance. I thought that showed smart gameplay and that this could be the episode where he stepped forward as a contender. Well, that was wrong too. Really wrong. It was fun to watch, but maybe I should stop trying to determine who's going to do well. Well, maybe not, because I do think Tommy has had a lot of good thoughts. Perhaps I'll change my USB to him when the time comes. I'm still up in the air on the Island of the Idols. This week was my least favorite time watching the island. I guess the advice just didn't seem all that important. Yes, there are some times when you have to crawl, and some players have used that strategy in an attempt to get close to others who are talking strategy, but it's not typically a huge help in the game. I guess it was supposed to be a lesson on stealth, but it seemed to fall flat for me this week. On a good note, Dean may be purple, but at least he'll have his split vote line. Actually, maybe that's not a good note for Dean. I don't know if it's better to not be remembered or to be remembered for that split vote quote. Anyway, it gave us all a laugh. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks, Nathan. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Cameron.
Hey Joanne and Stacy, hey Survivor fans, this is Cameron from North Carolina calling in. Once again recording this outdoors on a Friday night, and I'm pretty sure it's dropping about 5 degrees here every week every time I do this. Alright, to the episode. I feel a little bad for Jamal that he was just blindsided, but at the same time, be thankful that it wasn't you, and that it was a pretty big reality check. I thought Jack did a good job at keeping his composure, but as for Jamal, it's best to keep your head up and maintain being active in conversations with people, so that you don't actually wind up being chopped liver. Karishma seemed to be overreacting a bit with people not rushing to her side after cutting her hand. She herself seemed to not make a very big deal out of it upon cutting herself, so how are the rest of them supposed to know you needed their help? My mom pointed it out to me that it seemed like Dina and them actually did express some initial concern, and if I were one of them and Karishma just walked away with her head down, honestly, I'd imagine she just wanted to be alone. So the Island of the Idols was relatively entertaining this week. I liked Rob's side comments on how extra Sandra was being with her drill sergeant tendencies. I definitely found it pretty funny how the little clip we saw from last week's Next Time on Survivor wound up not having to do with Vince sneaking over at all, rather just one of the Vokai folks having a nightmare. Initially I thought it was a girl on the tribe, but Joanne, if you say it was Tommy, then I believe you. This challenge was a pretty extreme twist on the classic walk across people and get off the balance beam challenge that I believe first appeared in Vanuatu, because on top of doing just that, it was on a wobbly beam and they had to untie bags. Jamal was a pretty impressive puzzle solver, managing to make up from a bit of a time advantage held by Lyro initially. So I saw Missy's thought process, this coming from her confessional after the challenge. I saw her thought process and not wanting to cut Vince loose quite yet, but at the same time, we're still in the pretty early phases of the game, so that fear of knowing he just went to the Island of the Idols should set up at least some red flags, knowing you can flush out whatever he could have just won. It seems to me like Elaine pretty early on was set up to be the big character of the season, but in the second and third episode so far, she's been pretty purple. This season's votes have been pretty crazy so far. Both Molly and Vince came off to me before the season started as pretty strong candidates to win the whole thing. So yeah, I missed out on a vote out point because I did say Karishma was going, but I'm pretty impressed by the tribals so far. Next time on Survivor, it looks to me like Dean isn't much of a big player at all. They didn't have too much to show of him in the first place, maybe because ultimately he's just gonna get voted out for being too comfy with Chelsea. Never know. Alright, Joanna, Stacy, and Survivor fans, I'm appreciating all the podcast feedback so far, and I'm looking forward to this week's. Thanks a lot, Joanna, Stacy.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Yeah, we're having a great season with the feedback, and it keeps rolling on. Next up, we got a call from Barbara.
Hi, this is Barbara in Raleigh with a few thoughts on episode 3. I was surprised and disappointed in Karishma. She's a lawyer, so I thought she would be more of a take charge type, but she just seemed to be hurt and close in rather than take action. Karishma had options. She could have switched from the 5 girls alliance to the 4 guys alliance and taken out whichever woman she wanted. I'm sure the guys would have gone along with her. Instead, she won't even give Vince a name as to who she would like to vote out. A recurring theme this season is people's inability to manage their emotions. People should expect by season 39 to be blindsided when their allies are voted out, or expect to have their name written down for votes, or expect to not be among the in crowd. They need to prepare for that before the game and think about how they're going to handle it. We've just seen poor reactions from Aaron and Vince after being surprised in episode 1, Jamal being blindsided when Molly was voted out in episode 2, and now Karishma in episode 3. On the other hand, Jack handled the blind side really well this episode, and he's one of the youngest players. Vince, what up? Your idol was only good for 2 tribals, and you don't even know if your tribe will go to tribal council the next time? Use it or lose it. Rob and Sandra taught you to keep cool under pressure, but you took it too far. There were so many fun times this episode. I loved watching Vince and Sandra crawling in the sand while Rob held a stick over them. Vince loudly sneaked into the other camp, and that was hilarious. Vince was not well suited to sneaking around. Why, you could have sent Mr. Invisible Dean in. He could just walk right over to the fire and no one would even notice. And speaking of Dean, why wasn't Dean held accountable for losing the puzzle? He was also on the losing puzzle team in episode 1. It was Dean, Vince, and Chelsea. So maybe his tribe finds him invisible as well. Anyway, I'm really enjoying the season. Thanks for the opportunity to contribute my thoughts.
All right. Thank you, Barbara. Good job. I think Dean's possibly the beneficiary of it's the blessing and the curse of attractiveness, physical attractiveness.
Well, and the guys are more sure of him being with them.
And what I meant by that was they don't expect much from him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had it different. I know what you're saying in terms of his physical contribution, his ability to contribute there, but how can you blame Dean for not being able to do a puzzle? That's what I'm saying.
I had thought he said he was good at puzzles. So.
I'm sure he did.
And he may be, but this is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, a whole different kind of pressure. Thanks, Barbara. And next up, we got an email from another Barbara in Long Island.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy, and all you Survivor fans. Good thing Nora wasn't up tending the fire when Vince crept into their camp. Yeah, Nora. He even commented on how stupid they were for letting the fire go out.
Nora.
Oh, please, please, please let Nora go to the Island of the Idols next. Maybe she can drive them crazy for a while. Poor Karishma. She's just given us a lesson on how to separate yourself from the herd when lions are chasing. Dean speaks, and next week he's in a showmance with Chelsea. Uh-oh. Or should I say, duh-oh. I'm really enjoying this season. Thanks, guys, for everything. I hope you're...
Fortunately, we're not.
We had our own, but not recently. So.
Yeah.
We're doing okay up this way.
Thank you, and good job. You really got the humor going this week. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanna, Stacy, and all my Survivor friends. So this was another very interesting episode of Survivor. However, I felt there was a few gaps in there, and I just didn't understand what was happening. Number one was I was really impressed with Vince going and actually winning the challenge that Rob and Sandra had set up for him. But what happened when he came back? Wasn't he grilled? Wasn't he asked questions? Did he say what he saw? Or did he have to convince everybody he hadn't bought anything back? So, that was a bit of a gray area and I didn't know what was going on. The second thing was I felt after the challenge and the puzzle looked so gorgeous. I loved it. Dean was as much as at fault or completing the challenge as Karishma. When they were talking also among the guys were talking about how she sucked at the challenge. You could see Dean having a very guilty face, but he wasn't targeted, so only she was targeted. Was it because she's a girl and the boys were just sort of in their little boys group? I don't know. And now I had a major issue with one of the questions, and maybe it's just because I am in Australia and it's a very unsettling question. Immigrants here is, where are you from? And if you say, oh, I'm locally from this place, then the next question that is aimed at you is, oh no, where are you really from? And this question gets asked of people who are non-Caucasian. And so much so, it's such a big thing here that there's even a TV show made to, dealing with the immigrants, and it was called Where Are You From? So when I heard Rob ask that question, oh, where are you from? it just, I found it very unsettling, and it did touch a raw nerve. So that was that. I'm sure people, Jody and all will understand where I'm coming from on that. And about her injury, the tribe did ignore her, and I thought that was a bit odd, because there has to be more to that story, as it was quite weird and awful, and I have never seen anybody earlier being ignored like that if they were not feeling well or there's something happening. And I know they were eating or whatever, but just there's something more to it. Apart from that, I was sad to see Vince go, and I did lose a safe point, same as Joanne. I never thought he would go, and I don't know why he didn't play his idol. I think he thought in his mind that the plan that he had said for Tom to go was going to work out. And even I had Tom as my vote out point, so I suppose that's that. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you again soon. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Rashmi. Thanks for that cultural insight, too. I don't know if you get it, but I get that same question.
Time.
Yeah.
All the time.
We get it a lot as Caucasians, Rashmi, but it's because of our accent, I think. Right?
Yes,
so we
I'm
usually
sure
know that.
Everywhere I go, people I don't even know, if I open my mouth, they'll say, "Where are you from?"
Yeah. Well, we're from California. Yeah.
It's like I've lived
Where are
here
you really
for
from?
30-some-odd years.
Usually we just know what they're getting at.
We know what they mean.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Georgia.
Because we get it all the time.
Originally from Georgia, yeah.
Still.
And I don't think there's anything sinister under it. They're just,
not at all.
In this case, I understand Rashmi's talking about a whole different ballgame in certain situations.
But someone like Rob would do that too, like, where are you from, regardless.
Because that's just an opening line, yeah.
It's just a conversation piece here.
I'm pretty sure there wasn't anything.
And let's face it, America, everyone's from somewhere.
It certainly feels that way, yeah.
So we all,
somewhere else,
our ancestors came over from somewhere else.
Yep. All right, thanks, Rashmi. Appreciated that. Good job. Thank you. Next up, we got a call from Nicola-n-Jackson.
Hello, Survivor friends. This is Nicola and Jackson. Just calling in. Did you like the challenge?
Yeah.
That was your favorite part?
I loved when they had to dive in. And they had the balance. It was so cool.
I thought the challenge was great too. I like those big epic challenges. I'd be perfectly happy if we just had one big challenge a week, make it immunity and reward, especially this season with Island of the Idols. I think it gives us more time to kind of look at that. And I was sorry to see Vince go this week. I liked him. I liked his character. I was hoping he would stick around a little longer.
I can't believe they got an idol from the island.
We look forward to next week, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Nicola. Thanks, Jackson. Good job, guys. Next up, we got an email from Jesse in Canada. Hello, I love the Island of the Idols challenge this week. There's nothing more ninja than sneaking into someone's camp and stealing their fire. I have to give props to Vince for adapting to the situation when he saw there was no fire. I thought it would have been amazing if he stole their flint instead, but it was dark and he did what he could.
He thinks like me, I thought it.
Yeah, Vince even said something similar to that in his interview with Dalton Ross. I'm disappointed with Boston Rob and Sandra not explicitly warning Vince that he will have a huge target on his back after coming back from the island. Joanne, you said it best. The kiss of death is right. I bet Elizabeth campaigned to vote Vince out so that there would be no witnesses to the Island of Idols. She's like Smeagol from The Lord of the Rings and wants the precious information all to herself, or so I assume. I like the Smeagol reference there. Now I have thoughts on Tommy and his nightmare. He may have a really sad backstory that he gets into down the road to explain the night terrors. Although something terrible may have happened to him, he will be able to use that for his social game. Or maybe he's just a big faker who likes the attention. Okay, it took a twist I wasn't expecting. I respect Jack for taking the blind side so well, unlike Jamal. On a side note, did Jamal get stung by something? I noticed his left eye always looks like it's swollen.
Yeah, there is something wrong with his eye.
Yep.
We noticed it even in
the
pictures.
preseason. Yeah. I keep expecting Bear Grylls to jump out and tell him to just pee on it. There you go. Another twist and turn right at the end of the paragraph. I really like Jamal's analysis of Dan. He also makes me feel icky. Just looking at the guy gives me the willies. Anyways, I love what you two do and can't wait for the next episode of Survivor and your recap. Thanks, Jesse. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Drew. He remembered.
Hey everyone, this is Drew. I did remember my picks this week. I didn't get vote out point, but still, at least I remembered. And just in time, I remembered to send in my feedback thanks to Julie. I was about to forget it again, but great episode. Yeah, I don't really got a lot to say, except I do want to say that I thought that the Christmas stuff was blown way out of proportion. I think that she was having a sort of a pity party moment, so I didn't really feel that for her. But, I mean, it seemed to me like she was trying not to make a big deal of it and then getting mad when nobody made a big deal of it. I mean, I know she was reacting and she was responding and trying to keep from passing out. But if she had said, guys, if she had made more mention, it's like she just walked off and kind of chilled, so maybe they just thought she needed a minute. But I mean, like you said, there wasn't that much blood. You couldn't really tell exactly what happened, and if she wasn't forthcoming, then they wouldn't have realized. Probably watching back, they felt terrible that she was in so much pain and anxiety, and that they didn't do anything about it because maybe they just didn't realize. Sorry to hear that Joanne and Stacy lost their back-to-back USBs. Not sure how Elizabeth is going to do, but she's still there. So we'll see. But I'm going to say the winner of the week, there's a lot of losers this week, so maybe the winner of the week is going to be, I have no idea. Sorry, I got no winner. But the loser of the week, maybe you guys can pick a winner for me. How about that? But the loser of the week wins because he said he didn't want to give in to paranoia, but maybe he should have, at least a little bit. So now I'm going to teach you guys a phrase in Hmong because I think it's appropriate for this moment. So you say, shi, nji, shinjirua. And here's a little hint. Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey hey, shinjirua. Bye, Vince. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Shinjirua, Drew.
Winner of the week. How about Jack for holding it together after and not being pouty like
Jamal?
Jamal.
I guess so, but I'm hesitant to give Jack too much credit. That's why I just I got a huge Judd vibe off of him, and honesty would be chill is not a sentence that really sits well with me, and I really don't want to go down the Judd Fabio path again.
But he comforted Tommy too.
He did comfort Tommy's night terrors, and that's a plus.
Well, the only other person I could think of would be Elizabeth for she wanted Vince and she got him.
You know where my mind went was Janet going head to head against the Olympian. And yeah, I know Elizabeth probably she didn't turn it all the way on. She didn't take it to high gear probably, but Janet hanging with her on that swim in the challenge and not losing her cool and going and taking care of the knots and getting her tribe in there. You could give it to Missy for doing so well, or Kelly for doing well in the challenge too. Any of those three ladies in the challenge.
In other words, anyone. Okay, guess we don't know either, Drew.
I picked 3 out of the remainder. That's not
mean.
Anyone.
You didn't pick one.
Janet.
Okay.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks for the language lesson, too. Next up, we got a call from Sophie-n-Leyla.
Hi, John and Stacey. This is Sophie in Texas with my daughter, Layla. We really enjoyed the show this week. My son, Caleb, he had Dean going home, and I had Aaron going home. So at least we chose the right team. We got all our safe picks right again. But we're sorry for you, Stacey. Sorry about Vince. Now you and Joanne have to choose new ones. Okay, I thought this week's challenge was the best so far. What about you? What did you like?
It was really good. I liked how there was the seesaw and how Kelly was really short, and so it was really hard for her to grab the bag. It's really hard to balance out things. And it was funny when they all jumped off and they fell.
Yeah, that was good. It was like they were walking the plank, and the ones at the back, they jumped off first.
Yeah.
Missy went flying. Okay, what about Vince at nighttime crawling around?
He did good, but I think he made a lot of noise. That's what I think, a little bit. And they kept on waking up when he was walking around.
I think they just thought that was the cameramen, though, because there were always cameramen around. Maybe they thought that they were just being filmed sleeping, which is creepy.
Yeah.
What about Karishma when she cut herself and they were not giving her
They
attention?
didn't care. Oh, I felt really bad.
I did too, until I heard Joanne and Stacey's explanation, and they were eating, they were walking away. Maybe they thought that she wanted to be by herself. So that makes sense too. But at the time, I did feel really sorry for her, and I thought somebody should have accompanied her, at least to the medic, stayed with her, and just showed a bit more compassion. But yeah, I can see your side now.
Oh, when he got sent home.
Oh, and he would have hidden it in his water bottle. That would have been so good.
Yeah.
Oh, he should have done it. And I thought it was so obvious when Karishma got up and started whispering to the girls, and she probably said, he showed me he's got an idol, let's get him. I'm sure she lied about something and, I don't know, just said, let's just vote him. She was just trying to save herself, which is fair, but, oh, poor Vince.
I like how Joanna and Stacey get to have their own little part when they watch the voting out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, not John and Stacey. You mean
no. Yeah, sorry.
Sandra and Rob.
Why do I always get that wrong?
Sandra and Rob have their own little hideout shack.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I feel since they're saying, oh, it's just a game where you have to throw a ball and knock down these things, I feel like when the rest of the team finds out, they're going to be in big trouble.
Oh, that they've been lying about the Island of the Idols. Maybe. Okay, well, that's it. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Good job, Sophie. Good job, Layla. When Sophie was talking about Karishma getting up and talking, when I was working on the audio, I was like, that really should have been Vince's cue. That was like her calling an audible for him. That should have said, Vince, wake up. Something's not right. Go ahead and play it. Even if you don't think you need to. Even if you think you're practicing Rob and Sandra's lesson and you're keeping your cool. There's no reason for her to get up and do that when she would not give you a name before. That's like a 1-2 punch that should have woke him up. Enjoyed that. Thanks, Sophie. Thanks, Layla. Next up, we got an email from Michael in Kansas.
I had planned to try your voicemail this week, but I'm currently at a state conference for art teachers, so email will have to do.
We love the email too.
That's right. You were correct in your pronunciation of my name last week. Yay! It's pronounced like the male version, but few people pronounce it correctly, so kudos to you.
Well, to be fair, we pronounced it both ways, but thank you for the compliment. We'll take it.
I wanted to get it right whichever way.
Yeah.
Just try my best. This was a good episode, but I felt Vince being praised for Nerves of Steel by Rob and Sandra may have led him to not playing his idol.
Exactly.
I did love watching Sandra teaching Vince the art of the army crawl and hiding behind giant palm fronds. 2 skills I'm sure he will eventually find a use for. I wonder how the other tribe felt when they watched this episode and saw themselves sleeping as Vince stole the ashes from their fire.
Talk about creepy.
Yeah, this was probably one of the funniest scenes in recent history. I think Karishma is a drama queen. She wasn't bleeding that noticeably, and her actions were discreet enough that I get why her tribe mates didn't notice. I feel like she probably spends a good portion of her life wondering why people don't pay more attention to her.
Oh.
Can't wait to hear everyone's feedback. All right, thanks, Michael. Up next, we have a call from Taz.
Hi, Joanna Stacey. We got another good blindside episode this week. Jack handled himself well upon returning to camp and even seemed amused by the gameplay. Jamal, not so much. The water spout was really cool. Living near the coast, I have seen a couple of them myself in person, and they are always an awe-inspiring work of nature. That was horrible, that no one in the tribe was concerned about Karishma's cut hand. I mean, she cuts herself, announces that she can see the bone, starts to walk away, and drops to the ground. And no one even bothers to call out to her to see if she's okay. They should all be ashamed. After being on the wrong side of the numbers, Jamal is brought in on the strategizing to oust Noura. He then walks away, not appreciating that he was being included, thinking that he's not going to go along and needs to come up with a plan that he can claim credit for. Apparently, Dan makes the guys feel icky too, so Jamal decides to go after him, but only succeeds in putting a target on his own back. Poor Vince. He has to go to IOI and is moved to tears when he meets his campmates. I guess if I suddenly realized that I would have to spend the night with Rob, I would probably shed tears myself. Dean is absolutely clueless. Every time he is shown, if he isn't doing something dumb, he just has a totally vacant and confused look on his face. Blank stare, jaw hanging, sort of like someone that's been heavily medicated. The challenge was pretty good, and it must really suck to have such a big lead and have it squandered by the ones doing the puzzle. Through most of it, Dean was just playing with the puzzle pieces. Then upon returning to camp, Tom tells Dean that he did well in the challenge. What? I'm also confused why Karishma just seemed to accept the blame and didn't remind everyone that she wasn't the only one doing the puzzle. At Tribal, there wasn't an inkling of how the vote was going to go. Vince's name wasn't even brought up once. I can't say that I blame him for not playing the idol. He was well played. Well, I lost a safe point this week, and I really don't have a clue what's going to happen next week. Maybe Jamal or Nora will win the vote. As always, thanks for all you do. Taz in Louisiana, over and out.
Excellent. Good job, Taz. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is David in Pittsburgh. Well, I'm going to call this episode Lost in Translation because something was definitely left on the cutting room floor. I have no idea what happened from Vince being in the Women's Alliance or even Vince being in the Workers' Alliance in the beginning with Tom and Elaine to suddenly being the one on the outs. I get it that when he went to the Island of the Idols that he came back and might have been somewhat of a threat, but I just think he didn't handle things well. And I really wanted to see the excerpt of him talking to Elizabeth when he got back. We never saw that. I heard him on an interview on Robinson Podcast, his exit interview, and he seems to feel that he was kind of in the middle and had a target on his back, but I can understand why he wasn't in the middle and sort of almost like a swing vote. When the guys talked to him, I think if he had looked in the eye and said that he would go along with them and then talk to the women also, he might have been able to play it from both sides. But he did say that when he went to tribal council, he had no idea that he was going to be blindsided. He had talked to Missy, Elaine, and Elizabeth, and I think he told them that he had lost his vote out there. Again, then what was all the vote splitting going on if they trusted him? But also on CBS All Access, Missy has an interview where she says that she didn't quite trust him. She didn't know if he was just this happy-go-lucky guy or was he really looking for idols. I just don't think people quite knew where he fit in the tribe. And interestingly enough, Jeff Probst talks about this on an older YouTube episode where he says that Vince has this kind of split personality and you're never quite sure which way he's going to go. And I think that may be it. I don't think people had a good read of him. And then Krishna, what is going on with you? I had no clue what she was doing at tribal council because what she could have been doing is signaling Vince to play his idol. Suddenly she's whispering to women, not to him. And if he hadn't been so confident, maybe he would have played the idol. Anyway, I'm enjoying this show, but right now I don't know who to root for. So I'm going to listen to what the viewers' feedback has to say. Bye.
Yep, exactly, David. Yep, you were thinking the same thing. Excellent. Next up, we got an email from LeAnn in California. Hi, guys. I'm still getting over a cold, so it's email feedback again for me this week. We had an interesting Survivor viewing this week at our house. After the California North Bay area was hit with a planned power outage for 2 days, I had a freak out moment when I thought I might miss Survivor. Yikes, we had a little one too. Mm-hmm. But then I signed up for CBS All Access on my phone and the day was saved since we still had cell service at our house. Yay! It was made even better when we figured out how to power our phones and laptops with our car running in the driveway so the entire family could huddle around a laptop to watch the show together. Oh man, that's cool. Good job. As for the show itself, watching Vince hooch around the other team's camp was fun. But then it was just kind of weird, and we were struck with yet another blindside to the viewing audience as well as Vince. Poor Vince. At least I didn't have him safe. As for Karishma's injury, I was glad it wasn't as bad as it looked in the previews, but her days are numbered if her outsider attitude and performance at immunity challenges doesn't improve. However, the Girls Alliance will probably keep her around for a while. Next week it looks like the snuggling gets out of hand, but I have a feeling Vokai will go to Tribal and I may put Jamal to go home. But someone is going to visit with Rob and Sandra, and that may shake things up, as it did for Vince. Picking someone to vote out this week is going to be a challenge. So that's it for me for now. Happy Survivor watching, everyone, even in power blackouts. All right, good job. Thanks, LeAnn.
That's a fan.
Yeah, that's a commitment right there. We're fortunate. We're not on PG&E, and so our...
Well, we are, but just for the hot water heater, I think.
Gas, not for electric power, which is what affected everyone. Yeah. Excellent. Next up, we got a call from Kyle.
Hey, Joanna, Stacey, and all the Survivor fans at home. This is Kyle from Calgary, Canada, calling with some Week 3 feedback for Survivor Island of the Idols. Now, it might sound like it's a little bit of an echo. I'm currently in the garage, just about to put some winter tires on our vehicles. Winter has hit pretty early in Calgary, and got to make sure we stay safe on the road when we're giving that in-the-car feedback that I love to do so much. So, there you go. On the recap show, Stacey, you'd mentioned that you got a little tongue-tied or flustered when you met Jeff Probst, and I do the same thing. I didn't meet Probst or anything, but I actually met Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller. It was after one of his shows in Vegas, and they do a little meet and greet. And I finally got up to him, took my turn. I'm a big fan, and I wanted to say, hey, I'm a big fan. I love what you do. Thanks for the show. And I ended up saying, fan, love, show, and then picture taken, moment ruined, forever. So I totally get it. I guess I'm just not really used to conversing with famous people. So there you go. On to the show. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I liked what Vince was doing with the sneaking into the other tribe. I thought that was a sort of a fun moment. With Krishma, I guess we're probably missing something. I never really knew that she felt disconnected from the tribe. I didn't know that was something that she was feeling, and I certainly didn't know that Vince was on the outs with his original 3-person alliance. So I'm also with you guys that I think it's a little bit weird that they didn't show Elizabeth and him having a little powwow after he came back. But like you said, maybe it was due to giving away some plot details, because she would have known for sure. It would have been kind of neat to sort of see like a knowing smile, like, I know what you went through and what did you go through. So overall, loving the show, loving the feedback. I hope everyone has a great weekend. And it's Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend, so happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadian friends. Hope you guys have a great week. All right, bye.
All right, good job. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, thanks for sharing that story too, with your similar experience. And happy Thanksgiving. Next up, we got a call from Krystle.
Hi, Joanna and Stacey. This is Krystle from Pasadena. I have a couple of questions about this episode and a lot of thoughts. Early on, seeing Karishma cut her hand, I really felt bad for her, and seeing her on the outs, you never really want to see someone feel like that. But then as the dramatic scene progressed and seeing her reaction, I felt like her reaction was a little bit too dramatic and over the top, considering it seemed like they just put a bandage on it and moved on. So it really seemed like her reaction was a little bit too much. And then later on, to see her paranoia kind of get the best of her, and for her to turn on Vince, who in my opinion was really one of the only people who wanted to work with her and help her and reason with her. I thought that was really unfortunate, because you really don't want to get rid of the people who want to help you and want to work with you. And I'm kind of left with questions on why she turned on him of all people. So maybe there's something that I'm missing about that. And moving to the other tribe, is it me, or would anybody else gladly trade Nora for Reem? I never thought I would say this, but I would much rather see Reem on my screen right now than Nora. Again, I'm so surprised that I'm saying it. Never thought I would say it, but I would gladly have Reem on my screen to not listen to Nora anymore. Another question that I was left with is, I don't know if I missed it, but I'm wondering if Elizabeth and Vince shared about the Island of the Idols, or if they even questioned Vince coming back from the island, because it seemed like Elizabeth got a pass and nobody questions her, but Vince, it's like they automatically assumed that he had an idol. So I'm not sure if we just missed it because there wasn't enough time with the whole Island of the Idols twist being added in, or what the deal is there. I'm also thinking if it would be a good idea to share about it, because obviously then you look like a liar if you don't share. So I'm kind of left with several questions about all that, but otherwise, of course, it's always a great day when Survivor's on, so not complaining, always happy to see it and hear what everyone has to say, and I'm looking forward to another week of Survivor next week. That's about it. I hope you all have a great day and week, and thanks for all you do. Until next time, bye.
All right, thanks, Krystle. So Vince did mention in the Dalton Ross interview that he had a discussion with them about, and told them, he shared the story that he had. It was a little different than the other one. I can't remember the specifics off the top of my head. It wasn't the 3-jar one. It was another one that's been used before. And he did have a specific discussion with Elizabeth too. He said it was time limited somewhat. And again, this was a 2-day cycle. So yeah, things were rushed a bit from this perspective, but the reason that there's a common thread in the feedback this week is that I think they're forcing these folks not to talk about Rob and Sandra, and there was that Probst comment about how they wanted to inject mystery into this season, and it was all about the mystery. He wasn't there for the marooning and the other things, so I think Island of the Idols, the twist, is having this impact on it, and it's just leaving us with a lot of questions. And no to Reem. Just no. That's my answer to your question. I'll just take the new Nora. I'm not ready for more Reem. No. I understand where you're coming from too, though. Okay, next up, we got an email from Jack in California. Hello, everyone. This was another solid episode. I find it interesting that at the beginning of each episode so far, it's been showing a little preview of what's to come. For you, interesting. For me, annoying. If I was on the Lyro tribe when Karishma cut her hand and sees a bone, I would have made sure that she was okay and gets the treatment that she needed. I find Nora pretty annoying, and I think if Vokai goes back to tribal council, she could be next to leave. But she could go far as a goat, too. I thought the starting players at the Immunity Reward Challenge was a great matchup. Olympic swimmer versus lifeguard, and of course Elizabeth did amazing at retrieving the key first. That was some comeback to win the challenge from Vokai. For the Island Idol twist this episode, Vince had quite a reaction seeing Rob and Sandra. His challenge was very unique, and I actually loved to see that play out. It felt like that would be quite difficult to try and steal fire from Vokai if they had fire without being caught. But Vince was impressive with being stealthy. I don't think I would be able to do it. I would probably try, though. Vince didn't play his idol at Tribal, and out he goes. I probably would have played it to be safe. I had Tom getting voted out this episode, and even though it looked promising for a little bit, it didn't happen. I am now 0 for 3 on correct vote outs, and that scares me because of the side challenge. As well it should. The game is still getting started, though, so I'm not giving up. Good man. Good man, Jack. All right, thanks. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hello, everyone. This is Justin from Michigan. I don't have too much to say about this episode. Kind of want to focus in on Vince. Didn't really care for him. Don't really miss him. To me, if you have an idol that's only good for 2 tribal councils, there's no real reason not to play it, in my opinion. I'm surprised that Rob and Sandra didn't give him the same advice. Too many times people that get idols, they think of it only as a defensive use. This is only good for 2 tribal. You are kind of the swing vote between the guys and the girls. Go on the offensive. Take control of your tribe. You can steer the direction of your tribe, and in my opinion, Vince just wasn't aggressive enough to realize that. I was disappointed that we didn't get to see a conversation between him and Elizabeth. I think that conversation would have been kind of cool to see. I'm sure it happened, but there's probably something that they didn't want to give away. We'll see if in the future they start to show us some of those conversations between people that have been to Island of the Idols. I'm sure it'll lead to some kind of cool conversations. All right, that's all I had. Everyone have a good week.
Excellent. Thanks, Justin. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. Hello, Survivor fans. This is Jeremiah from Southern California with some quick thoughts for this week's episode. First of all, I want to start off with the Island of Idols this week. I feel like kind of missed the mark. Now, for television, I think it was great. I always love watching someone sneak over to the other tribe like that. It was a lot of fun. So, great television. But as far as it being a strategy or a teaching tool for a player, I feel like they really missed the mark. Sneaking over to someone's camp is not a skill that you really need to know to help you in Survivor. The first few times out, I think they nailed it. Those were valuable lessons. But this time, not so much. Now, I thought I would talk a little strategy. I have thought about this many times before, about what I would do in a particular situation that Vince was in. Meaning whenever you get sent somewhere else to go somewhere like Islands of Idol, where everyone knows you're probably going to have an opportunity to maybe win some kind of advantage or a idol. And when you have a situation like this, especially where the idol is only good for a short period of time, there is no reason to keep this a secret. When you get back there, whether you tell everyone or you just tell the people you're aligned with the closest is, hey, yes, I went over there, I got an idol, but you know what? I don't want it. I'm going to play it right away. I'm going to play it on our first tribal cancel I get, and that way it'll be gone, and we're good. And show trust with these people. If you're going to show it to your tight alliance, then let them know and say, hey, let's flush this right away. I don't want it. If we need to use it to save one of us, that's great. But otherwise, I want it gone because there's no need to keep this. That's what I would do, and that's what Vince should have done. That's what all these guys should do. I don't know why they're worried about it. It's just a temporary idol. Why put yourself in a position like Vince did this week and go home? Now, I do think that the reason why Vince went home, for a lot of reasons, he clearly wasn't fitting in. He wasn't making people feel comfortable. Neither the men or the women seemed to feel like they could trust him. So that's on him. I mean, he's just not that great of a player. I just feel like play it right away. So it'd be interesting to hear what you guys think about that and what some of the other fans think about. But that's the strategy I would go into if I was presented it in just the way that they were presenting it. All right, well, that's it for me. You guys take care, and until next week. Oh, and who I think is going to go home. You know what, guys? I think maybe Dean might go home, although I'm leaning towards Tom. On the other tribe, I am worried about my boy Jamal, though. He might be going home soon. Okay, so there's some predictions for next week. You guys take care, and this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
All right, good job, Jeremiah. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, what a weird episode. Bonegate left me scratching my head, as did Vince's Special Forces training and mission. Tribal Council and Vince's vote out were weird too. Hopefully the next episode will make more sense to me. Here are my other observations. Other cast members want to be Soul Survivor. LeAnn wants to be WWE Women's Champion. She was doing a lot of suplexes, wasn't she? Karishma was willing to be seen in her underwear on TV if it gets her the $1 million. Isn't that true of every survivor ever? That whole Karishma coconut bone thing was just weird. Given her other drama this week, I'm wondering if the tribe apparently ignoring her plight was a mix of deliberate editing and their reaction to Karishma being Karishma. Purple Dean finally spoke up. He should have stayed purple. If Rob can't tell the difference between starstruck and amnesia, maybe Sandra should teach the lesson on situational awareness. Rob started hundreds of fires. He's getting lazy if he needs Vince to still fire for him. Rob's overdub about bringing evidence obviously came later and slightly spoiled the drama of Vince's raid. The camp map Rob showed Vince looked like it came from the back of a kid's cereal box. Sandra had 5 years of military training. Who was her camo instructor? Artie Johnson? Tommy woke up screaming from a recurring bad dream. He dreamt he was sleeping next to Handsy Dan. There it is, right there. That's the jewel. Vince says dummies don't keep their fire dry. They also don't play idols when needed. Knock, knock. Did Handsy Dan kick some bucks Kierhofer's way? The teeter-totter gave him multiple excuses for grabbing Kelly and others with his sweaty hands. The men said we, in this case the men, gave them a big lead. That was Elizabeth and Missy. Funny how only Karishma got blamed for the puzzle failure. Maybe we should call him Teflon Dean instead. Jeff must be bummed. I bet he was really looking forward to water bottle idols. Next time, a showmance, pick the next visitor to Island of Egos and a blindfold challenge. Which will be the biggest disaster, blind love, blind ambition, or blind collisions? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanna Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. All right, great job, Josh. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. Well, I really don't know what to say about early episodes like this. Sometimes there's just so much going on and so many people. I have a hard time kind of zeroing in on what I think is important. But I'll try. So the first thing I was thinking of was Dean's blunder. Joanne, I was kind of giggling to myself as you were trying to kind of talk about how Dean might be able to backtrack on what he said about splitting the votes. And just hearing you talk, I was sitting there thinking, nope, digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper. I think that just was one of those moments where I think less is more, and just being quiet about it is probably the best thing that you can do in that situation. And I'm not saying I haven't put my foot in my mouth. I know that we all do it. It's really just an awkward situation. Poor Dean. I also wanted to talk about Vince's task. Now, Vince's task going into the camp in the middle of the night in pitch darkness, that was a challenge. I think he did a great job with getting in there, grabbing evidence that he had been there, and leaving. I think it was cool that he earned an immunity idol for that. That was a nice little payoff. But always better to play an immunity idol when you don't have to than leave with one in your pocket, I think. I mean, I know you look a little bit dumb playing one when you don't have to, but at least you're still in the game. I know Vince said that he was blindsided and he really had no clue that they were voting for him, but he got votes the last tribal council. I think that should have been enough to make him feel a little bit nervous about this one. And that red herring of the man screaming out and us all kind of thinking, ooh, it's Vince and he's going to yell or something like that. That was kind of cheesy, I think. But not cheesy is the yelling out in your sleep. It's kind of a running joke in my family that I scream in my sleep. I'll be in a dead sleep and then I will just all of a sudden just let out this loud yell. And of course it wakes everybody in the house up except me. So I know how that feels. It's kind of something some of us can't help. And to whoever it was, I'm really sorry that you were outed about that on TV. And I also wanted to talk about Vince being overwhelmed by meeting Sandra and Rob. Well, first of all, he's also tired and hungry and all those things that go along with being on Survivor. It makes one not be able to handle their emotions as well as they would like. But also, Stacey, when you were talking about, you know, when you met Jeff Probst, when you meet somebody who kind of means a lot to you in the sense of admiring them from afar, I mean, you really think, you know, I'll never meet them on the street, but if I did, this is what I would say. It is kind of an overwhelming feeling. I remember a few years back when I met Jeff Probst at the Hollywood Bowl. I mean, I just ran into him, walked by him, and it was such a surreal thought thinking, oh my gosh, there he is. It kind of caught me off guard. And when I finally caught up to him and had a chance to say hello and speak to him, it was like I blacked out. I knew I only had a few seconds to say just something about my admiration for him and for the show, and that can be overwhelming. But I had a similar experience where he couldn't have been more gracious and kind, and so it was kind of cute to see Vince get choked up like that, seeing Sandra and Rob. That's it for me. Can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say in their perspectives. Till next week. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing all that. Good deal. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here. What an episode. Krishna cuts her hand to the bone, and Rob and Sandra get blood on their hands as well. That certainly didn't go as planned, now did it? I guess I'll start by saying that this was the first week that I really didn't care for the Island of the Idols section, which is probably because we definitely missed out on some events at the camps, the biggest one being Vince and Elizabeth's talk, which you know had to have happened. And is it me or does Tommy get a lot of camera time? When the episode started and Tommy started explaining that he needed to do some damage control with Jamal, all I could think was that Jamal needs to do the damage control, not Tommy. I mean, who else does Jamal have? And yeah, I saw his arrogance on display last week as well as this week. At this point in time, I just don't see how someone like him can win. As soon as something that he didn't plan happened, well, he retreated to his dark place. He needs to pay attention to how Jack handled things. Oh, and I loved when whoever asked Jack if he was smiling there in the dark. That says a lot about how Jack appreciates the game, and that's why I now like Jack better than Jamal, which I didn't think could ever happen. So, are we seeing the birth of a long-standing and possibly successful female alliance? Honestly, I can't believe the guys were willing to slide down lower in numbers just out of the fear that Vince had an idol. Let's face it, though, Elizabeth is happy about how all of this turned out because her secret is safe. But if Lyra loses again, well, I think Tom's goose is surely cooked. You know, I stuck to my guns and I picked Purple Dean to go this week. And when I heard him talk at the beginning of the episode, boy, did I get my hopes up. And then when he performed just as badly as Karishma did at the puzzle part of the challenge, I thought that if the girls stick together, well, this could be it. But nope, that didn't happen. And you know why? Because after he contributed one of the 2 correct pieces to the puzzle, well, Dean literally walked out of the spotlight and let Karishma take all of the blame for losing. But what shocked me most was when he got the "good job, Dean" from Tom when they returned back to camp. Interesting. And that was when I knew I wasn't getting a vote-off point. As for Karishma's injury, well, I wish we saw more. I have to say that I feel for her because no one was concerned at all other than what's-his-name telling her that she should go see medical. Me, I would have gone out of my way to make the walk with her rather than let her head out alone. I think it was a really bad move in and outside of the game. I mean, how does someone let somebody get hurt and just say, go see the doctor and then forget about it? I don't know. So again, if Lyra loses, I say Tom goes. Now if Vokai loses, then I'm thinking it could very well be Dan. I believe Tommy would get on board with that just to appease Jamal, although why he feels he needs him, I don't understand. I just don't see Jamal as the wonderful person that so many others think he is. So I guess that's it for me until next week. Everyone take care. Bye.
Excellent. Good job, Paul.
They could have said, would you like for me to go with you?
Sure, yeah.
And take their food with?
Possibly, yep. Okay, well, we want to say a big thank you to everybody who took the time to send in your thoughts and predictions this week, and also big thanks to Wiley M. for your review on iTunes, helping get the word out about the podcast there. We appreciate it very much.
And if you play JSFL, don't forget to get your picks in before the deadline of 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time on Wednesdays. And good luck, everybody, because it's been difficult to choose.
No one's safe. No one's safe, and the Island of the Idols twist and this enforced mystery is going to cause that to continue to be very haphazard.
There seems to be multiple choices from each tribe.
Yeah, there certainly is. Yeah, but again, nobody's safe. That's your takeaway. Have fun making your picks. Have a good one.